How easy would poker be if you could see your opponent's cards? Only easy decisions, right? Well, what if I told you that if you pay close attention to the following, you might be able to do just that? As in this video, I will show you guys how to pick up on tells of your opponents, use this information to your advantage, alter your strategy, and make higher EV decisions. Let's go. I want you to take a look at this hand played by one of our Mechanics of Poker students in one of the member session reviews.
I do mostly range betting when in 3-bet pot in position the pre-flop raiser unless the board is too connected.
What did you think? Pretty straightforward stuff, right? Let's look at this again, but this time pay very close attention. Did you see it? He snap called your 3-bet. Now, why does this matter? You might be asking yourself. Well, the timing reveals information about villain's range, and ranges determine the equities, and in the end it's the equities that dictate the appropriate strategy. When he snap calls your 3-bet in this situation, it is very likely that he has a hand that was never going to fold and never going to 4-bet, which makes his range go from something like this to something looking more like this. When his range looks more like this, do you still want to be c-betting range on 10-7 deuce? Probably not. As against the first range, while being slightly behind, we at least still had the nut advantage, and therefore it's okay to start c-betting. However, against the second range, we no longer have this advantage and are even further behind in equity overall. And generally speaking, it is not a great idea to open the action and start putting a bunch of money in the pot when you have no advantage to back this up. When we informed the solver about the information our opponent gave away about his range, he quickly adjusts his strategy and basically stops c-betting altogether. Now, I would not recommend checking back queens plus in a situation where it's very likely that your opponent has a worse pair than yours and him not being aware of the fact that your c-betting range is only queens plus. But I think we can all agree that c-betting ace-king is now no longer such a great idea. When Hero mentioned his general approach for this spot, he most likely used the first GTO range I showed you. He then went into the aggregated frequencies for c-betting in position as initial raiser, and he maybe looked at some population tendencies, how they respond to c-bet, to come up with an overall simplified baseline strategy. And while this process is very valuable, he forgot one very important thing. Your opponents are giving away information about their range all the time. Therefore, we must always remain on the lookout, stay adaptable in our strategies, as with this information we can make adjustments which will significantly boost our win rate. This can be specific information about player tendencies, bet sizing tells and betting patterns, or as in this case, a tell in timing. I will give you guys another example. We're reviewing our student and he is playing bottom versus big blind. He c-bet the flop and checked back the turn.
Stuck either way here between bet and check. I'm not sure which I prefer. He snap checks the river, which is weird, man.
Now our opponent snap checks to us on the river. If we look at the GTO strategy, we see that we don't want to bet a lot, and if we do, it's for a smaller sizing. Now, how much and how big we get to bet is determined by the equities, and the equities are determined by the ranges. So let's take a look at what the range looks like in theory. We can see it checking quite some ace-x and 3x towards us, and therefore our equity is decreased. However, to check an ace, and especially a 3 or better, usually requires some thought. So it's way more likely that he has a hand that was never interested in betting in the first place. So his range, instead of looking like this, will likely be looking more like this, which will have drastic consequences to our strategy. So in this bet check bet line, we now go from betting not that often for a small sizing to betting way more often, bigger and thinner for value, as the range we likely face given his timing looks way different than in Solverland. So while there is great benefit in working with solvers, studying certain nodes and building baseline strategies, we must never forget the underlying mechanics to the game and why in GTO or in our baseline strategy we decided to play a certain strategy. In game, when the opportunity arises, we must rise above our baseline strategy, process this new information, node lock in our head and move beyond the solver. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more about how to work more effectively with solvers, go check out this video here next. See you guys there.